everyone! Today's video is going to go through my quick routine on how to cover up your acne and psoriasis. There's a lot of color correcting tips, and it takes about half an hour to do that, and I'll have other videos on how I do the rest of my makeup, so stay tuned. So this is my skin. Maybe not earth-shattering for a lot of people, but for me it's probably the most vulnerable thing I've done on the internet, which says a lot for someone who documented their plastic surgery. As you can see, it's a lot of redness and there's some flaking because I find when you try to treat the acne, then you get dry skin and it's just like a never-ending cycle. So the stuff here is more like psoriasis, and then up here that's more like just normal pimples. My pores are okay, I guess, but there's a lot of issues going on. I find when I go out like this, I don't even look people in the eye. It's like I'm that self-conscious about it. So I have some tricks that I'd like to share with you. So my first step when I do my makeup is I always put on chapstick. Right now I'm using this Kiss My Face. I just picked it up in the store. I'm not particular about chapstick. This prevents, like, foundation and everything is very drying to your lips, so if it gets on there, it doesn't help if you're trying to wear a matte lipstick later. So this just kind of prevents that issue. And then my next step is using a primer. I have tried so many primers, and I'm not exactly pleased with any of them. The Smashbox Green Primer is the one I typically go for. I recently picked up this NYX Shine Killer. I don't know if it does anything better, anything worse. I don't have much of an opinion on any of them. But I guess it's a necessary step, so I just go with it. So I mostly put this on my cheeks, my chin, my nose. Those are my oily areas. And then a little bit on my forehead. Now, my next step is something that I have been doing since I was in, I think, earlier than 7th grade even. And it's very popular right now, and that's color correction. I have been using this ever since I can remember. It's a Maybelline cover stick in green. Sometimes it's very hard to find. Now I find you can find green concealers everywhere in Sephora, and I can't wait to try some of the better brands since I haven't had many options over the years. So I'm very excited that this is now like a mainstream trend, because when people ask me my secret, it's always been my secret, and now it's out for everyone to try. So as you can see, this is just like a stick, and then I go over and I put it on every red spot on my face. Like by the end of this, I will look literally green. So now that I've covered up all the spots, it's time to blend it in. And remember, if you're going to do this, you have to have a very heavy foundation, and I'll show you what I use in a minute, but you're covering up all this green stuff on your face, so you can't do anything too light. So a lot of people have redness around the nose. I certainly do. So even if you don't have a lot of acne, this is a spot that green concealer will really help with. So as you can see, I pretty much have green all over my face. That's because I have a very red complexion. So not everyone would probably need this much green concealer, but I personally do. So there's two different foundations that I like to use that I find are pretty, very heavy finish. So my number one is probably Dior Air Flash. This is a really expensive foundation, so I try to wait and use this if I know that I need makeup to stay the whole day or the whole night. This is what I use. It's also really good in the winter when I tend to have more breakouts. And then my kind of lighter foundation is this Dr. Jart BB cream. Now, most people would say BB cream doesn't cover up very well. This one really does. It's the Black Label Detox, and it's a very thick BB cream. This is what I use more so in the summer when I want a little bit of a lighter coverage. And so I am a huge beauty blender person. I keep mine right before I do my makeup. I put my beauty blender in a cup and get it all nice and moist. Then I put some product on it, kind of smear that in so it spreads out nicer, and then I go to town covering my green face. So you'll now see we got all that green covered up. I'm incredibly pale, so I kind of wonder if this green technique would work on someone quite tan, but for me, for an incredibly pale person with very red skin, it works just great. So you'll see that there's still, you can still see some acne, and that's where your next step comes in, and that is covering that up with a concealer that matches your skin tone. I'm currently using this Makeup Forever Full Cover. I use number 2. Once again, I said I'm very light-skinned. So I put a little bit onto my finger, and then I just pat it on any spot that needs some extra coverage. So at this point in the process, you look like this. I put the concealer on every spot ahead of time so I don't miss anything. And then I go back over and I blend it with my fingers. A lot of people use brushes. I probably like to get in the habit of using a brush, but I find that your finger kind of gets it to match the rest of your face the best, where I think that's where a brush kind of lacks. So, you know, this is just a brush-free guide to covering up your acne. So now I have that kind of covered up as best as I can for now. I'll finish the rest of my face, and then I'll go back and kind of fix any spots that I think need fixing, and that's especially the psoriasis that has like deep craters. Kind of like those are the areas that need a little extra help. So my next step is color correction for under my eyes. Right now I am using this Hard Candy Glamoflauge. It's very watery, and that's why I don't use it for the rest of my acne. But it works well under the eyes. And then I guess this is kind of that baking method that everyone uses now. So I just put a little on my fingers and dab it under my eyes. And then I do a little under my nose too, once again, to help with that redness that's there. Now this I do use a brush to blend. So this is just a brush that I picked up at Sephora. Probably not even the right brush for this. Like I said, I'm no professional. So now I'm just going to blend this. So I sort of blend out, then down. So now I've done that, so my eyes don't look as puffy. So there's a little close-up of that. And then now is powder time. I have a mixture of powders that I like. My favorite's probably the Laura Mercier setting powder, and then I use the NYX setting powder, the colored one, the clear one, and a little bit of Studio MAC FX powder. So I'm currently out of setting powder, which is just a damn shame, to be quite honest. So I have to get that soon. So I'm just going to use a compact powder. It does not do the same thing. Use setting powder. It's so much better. A translucent powder is great, especially for someone with such light skin. That's usually what I use. And then make sure you get extra powder under your eyes where you just put all that concealer. Sometimes I use my finger to get into my wrinkles. Oh my god, that's the worst part of aging. Can I just say, like, putting on makeup is so much harder now that I have wrinkles to hide. And I put some on the eyelids too, because that's an area that creases a lot. So there, we're done with kind of the basic face makeup. Other than that, I like blush, I like bronzer too. I'm not a contour person because it's really hard to contour when you have a lot of acne. It just draws so much attention to it. So I kind of use bronzer to make my very pale skin look a little darker. And I'm huge on the highlight. That's the one thing I love to do. And I will do another video on that, certainly. So this is my finished product. My last step that I'll tell you about is I always spray finish. So this is the NYX matte finish. I've tried their dewy finish. I get oily, so bad idea. And I also have tried the MAC FX, and I genuinely prefer the NYX matte finish. So I'll just spray that a few times and let it dry. So a few things about covering up acne. The power of distraction. Remember that if there's something else for someone to look at immediately, they're probably not going to notice all your acne. So for me, I always have my brows done, and I always try to have some type of lip color on, even if it's just a brown, but lip color is a very good distraction from acne. So you'll see, you can still see kind of the texture of my acne, and that's, you know, texture is definitely the hardest thing to hide. But color-wise, you can't really tell from afar at least, and it's also very good for pictures. So as long as you have, if you're facing light, taking a picture this way, you're not going to really be able to tell that you have acne. So that's how I have such bomb Instagram selfies. So there's also another video to be had on how to get the perfect selfie when you have acne. So stay tuned for that one. And then I'm also going to do some different videos on, my next steps, the highlighting, the blush, lip colors, eyebrows, eyelashes, all things like that. So stay tuned for that, and I really hope you enjoyed my video, and if you have any tips for me, I'm always listening. If there's a product you use that helps cover up your acne or your psoriasis, I would love to hear about it. And just any other makeup tips that you have, please leave in the comments below. Stay tuned for my next video.